I'm Mark, a 34-year-old father from Austin, Texas. My wife, Jessica, and I have a 6-year-old daughter named Lily, who has beautiful, long, curly hair that she's been growing since she was a toddler. Her hair is a significant part of her identity, and she takes great pride in it. Looking back, I should have seen the signs. My mother Karen had always been particular about appearances, especially when it came to her only grandchild. During our bi-weekly Sunday dinners at her immaculate colonial-style home in Westlake Hills, she would constantly make little comments while stroking Lily's curls. "Such beautiful hair, sweetheart. Wouldn't it be easier to manage if it was just a bit shorter?" Or, "I saw the cutest bob haircut on little Emma next door. It would look so adorable on you, Lily." Every time, Lily would shake her head firmly and clutch her curls protectively. "No, Grandma. I like it long." Jessica and I would exchange knowing glances, silently acknowledging Lily's bodily autonomy, something we'd been teaching her since she could understand the concept. Karen would smile tightly and change the subject, but I noticed how her eyes lingered on Lily's hair throughout dinner, calculating. When she offered to babysit for the weekend while Jessica and I attended our college friend Tyler's destination wedding in Sedona, she seemed almost too eager. "Are you sure, Mom? It's a full weekend with Lily?" I asked, remembering how exhausted Karen had been after just an afternoon with my energetic daughter last month. "Of course. We'll have a wonderful time, won't we, sweetheart?" Karen cooed, pulling Lily into a hug that lasted just a beat too long. "Grandma has all sorts of fun activities planned." Lily beamed up at her grandmother. Despite the hair comments, they had a special bond. Karen had been there for every milestone since Lily was born, stepping in when Jessica had to return to her job as a pediatric nurse earlier than expected. In many ways, Karen had been our salvation during those early, sleep-deprived years. "Just remember, Mom, Lily has her swimming lesson on Saturday morning at 10. Her swimsuit and cap are in her blue bag," Jessica reminded her. "And she needs her special detangling spray before bed, or her curls get matted overnight," I added. Karen waved us off. "I raised you just fine without any special sprays, Mark. I think I can handle one weekend with my granddaughter." Something in her dismissive tone should have warned me, but Jessica and I were too excited about our first child-free weekend in over a year. We left early Friday morning, leaving Lily still in her unicorn pajamas, sleepily waving goodbye from Karen's arms. "Be good for Grandma, sweetheart. We'll be back before you know it," I called as we backed out of the driveway. The wedding was beautiful. Jessica and I danced under the stars, drank too much wine, and remembered what it felt like to be just us, not Mom and Dad. We even extended our hotel stay by a few hours on Sunday, enjoying a lazy brunch before heading back to Austin. "Should we call your mom and let her know we'll be a little late?" Jessica asked, sipping her mimosa. I shook my head. "She'll just tell us to take our time. You know how she loves having Lily all to herself." It was nearly 7 in the evening when we finally pulled into our driveway. The lights were on in the living room, and I could see Karen moving around inside. As we gathered our bags from the trunk, the front door opened, and Lily came running out. At first, I didn't process what was different. My brain registered my daughter, her face, her smile, her favorite yellow dress, but something was off. It wasn't until she crashed into Jessica's legs that I realized what had happened. Lily's long, curly hair that had cascaded down her back in copper ringlets just 2 days ago, was gone. In its place was a short, chin-length bob that barely moved as she bounced excitedly, telling us about her weekend. "And then Grandma said my hair would look so pretty short, like the girls in my ballet class, and we could give it to sick children who don't have any hair, and..." Jessica was frozen, her hands hovering above Lily's head, not quite touching the unfamiliar cut. Her eyes met mine over our daughter's head, shock and fury battling for dominance. "Lily, sweetheart," Jessica interrupted gently, kneeling down. "Why don't you go inside and get your things together? Mommy and Daddy need to talk to Grandma for a minute." Lily's smile faltered, sensing the sudden tension. Do you like my haircut? Grandma says I look like a big girl now. Jessica's voice was strained but gentle. We'll talk about it inside, okay? Go gather your things, please. As Lily reluctantly went inside, Karen appeared in the doorway, a self-satisfied smile on her face. Welcome home. Wasn't the wedding wonderful? Mom, I said, trying to keep my voice even. What did you do to Lily's hair? Karen's smile didn't falter. Oh, we had such a wonderful time at the salon yesterday. The stylist said Lily was the best-behaved child she'd ever worked with. And just look at how beautiful it is, so much more practical. Practical? Jessica's voice was dangerously quiet. You cut off our daughter's hair without asking us because it was practical. Karen finally seemed to register our anger. Her smile dimmed. Well, Saturday morning was a disaster. Her hair was so tangled after swimming, even with that fancy spray you mentioned, and she was crying while I tried to brush it out. It just made sense to get it cut. And the salon was collecting donations for cancer patients, so it's going to a good cause. That wasn't your decision to make, I said, feeling my control slipping. Lily loves her hair. She's been growing it out for years. She's 6, Mark. Children that age don't make their own decisions, Karen scoffed. Besides, she loves it now. She was so excited to show all her little friends at the park this morning. Of course she was excited. Jessica snapped. You're her grandmother. She trusts you and wants your approval. That doesn't mean she wanted her hair cut. Well, it's done now, Karen said dismissively. And frankly, I think you're both overreacting. It's just hair. It will grow back. I could feel the rage building inside me, a pressure behind my eyes that threatened to explode. Just hair. Mom, you had no right. No right at all. I had every right, Karen shot back, her voice hardening. I'm her grandmother. I've been there for that child from day one. When Jessica went back to work, who was there? Me. When you both were too exhausted to function, who stepped in? Me. I think that earns me some say in her life. Some say, yes, I acknowledged, struggling to remain calm. But not unilateral decisions about her body. That crosses a line, and you know it. A line. Karen laughed incredulously. It's a haircut, not a tattoo. You two are being ridiculous. Jessica stepped forward, her normally gentle demeanor replaced by something harder. Karen, I think it's time for you to go. We need to talk to Lily and make sure she's okay. Make sure she's okay? Karen repeated, her voice rising. The only thing that will upset her is seeing you two making such a fuss over nothing. You're the ones who are going to make her feel bad about her appearance. Mom, please, I said, gesturing toward the door. We'll talk about this later, when we've all had time to cool down. Karen straightened her shoulders, dignity radiating from every pore. Fine. But remember who you're pushing away here. I've done nothing but support this family, and this is the thanks I get. She gathered her purse and keys, pausing at the doorway. Call me when you're ready to apologize. After she left, Jessica and I found Lily in her room, running her hands repeatedly over her shortened hair, her expression uncertain. When she saw us, her lower lip trembled. Daddy? Do you hate my haircut? I sat beside her on the bed, pulling her into my lap. No, sweetheart. I could never hate anything about you. We're just surprised because Grandma didn't tell us she was planning to cut your hair. She said it would be a special surprise for you, Lily said, confusion evident in her voice. Did I do something wrong? No, baby, Jessica said firmly, joining us on the bed. You did nothing wrong. Grandma made a mistake. She should have asked us, and you, before cutting your hair. But I told her I wanted to keep my hair, Lily whispered, tears forming in her eyes. She said little girls look prettier with short hair, and that you and Daddy would like it better because it's neater. Jessica and I exchanged horrified glances. Not only had Karen gone against our parental authority, but she'd also manipulated Lily, using our supposed preferences to override our daughter's clearly stated wishes. Lily, your body belongs to you, Jessica said carefully. That includes your hair. No one, not even Grandma, should make changes to your body without your permission. And Daddy and I think you're beautiful exactly as you are, long hair or short. Lily nodded, but I could see the confusion lingering in her eyes. She had been caught in the middle of an adult conflict she couldn't possibly understand, and now she was trying to parse out whose reaction was right, her grandmother's enthusiasm or our distress. After putting Lily to bed, Jessica and I had a long, heated discussion about how to handle the situation with Karen. We agreed that while we valued her role in Lily's life, boundaries needed to be established. The next morning, I called my mother. Mom, we need to talk about what happened. If you're calling to apologize, I'm listening, she replied coolly. I'm not apologizing, I said firmly. What you did was wrong. You deliberately went against what we, and Lily herself, had told you about her hair. You manipulated our daughter and violated our trust as parents. That's absurd, Karen huffed. I made a practical decision that benefited everyone. That hair was a nightmare to manage, and now it's not. It wasn't your decision to make, I insisted. And because of this, Jessica and I feel we need to set some new boundaries. Boundaries? Karen's voice rose an octave. What boundaries? For the foreseeable future, you won't be babysitting Lily unsupervised, I stated, bracing for the explosion. It came immediately. That is completely unfair. One tiny decision about a haircut, and suddenly I'm untrustworthy. After everything I've done for you. For that child. It's not just the haircut, Mom. It's the pattern of disregarding our parental decisions. It's telling Lily that we prefer her with short hair when you knew that wasn't true. It's manipulating a 6-year-old to get your way. I did no such thing. Karen protested. I simply helped her see the benefits of a more practical style. And I stand by that decision. That's the problem, I sighed. You don't even recognize that you crossed a line. Until that changes, we need these boundaries in place. The conversation ended with Karen declaring that we were ungrateful and that we'd regret pushing her away. Over the next few weeks, she launched what can only be described as a campaign to prove us wrong. She sent articles about the benefits of short hair for children. She had my aunt call to tell us we were being too harsh. She even showed up at our house unannounced one afternoon with a photo album filled with pictures of me as a child with various, practical, haircuts, attempting to prove that she'd always made good decisions about such matters. Through it all, Jessica and I remained firm. We allowed Karen to see Lily, but only when one of us was present. We watched as she brought Lily extravagant gifts, a new tablet, an expensive dollhouse, transparent attempts to position herself as the good guy in our daughter's eyes. Your mommy and daddy are so strict, we overheard her telling Lily during one visit. Grandma just wants you to have fun and be happy. That evening, after Karen left, Lily asked us a question that broke my heart. Daddy, why don't you and mommy want me to be happy like Grandma does? It was a wake-up call. Karen wasn't just fighting us over a haircut. She was actively trying to undermine our relationship with our daughter. This wasn't a simple boundary violation, it was the beginning of a pattern that could damage Lily's sense of security and trust. Jessica and I decided to take more drastic action. We consulted a family therapist, who suggested we temporarily cease all contact with Karen until she could acknowledge the harm she'd caused and commit to respecting our boundaries. When I called to explain our decision, Karen was livid. You're keeping my granddaughter from me over a haircut? This is emotional blackmail, Mark. It's not about the haircut anymore, Mom, I tried to explain. It's about your behavior since then. The gifts, the comments to Lily about us being strict, the constant undermining. It has to stop. I have done nothing wrong, Karen insisted. And if you keep Lily from me, I'll never forgive you. That's your choice, I said sadly. But our decision stands until you're ready to respect our role as Lily's parents. The weeks that followed were difficult. Karen called daily, alternating between tearful pleas and angry accusations. She sent more relatives to advocate on her behalf. She even showed up at Lily's school one afternoon, attempting to see her during recess, which resulted in an uncomfortable conversation with the principal about family custody situations. Through it all, Jessica and I tried to shield Lily from the conflict while being honest about what was happening. We explained that Grandma had made choices that weren't respectful, and we were taking a break from seeing her until she could learn to be more respectful. Like when I have a timeout? Lily asked, surprisingly perceptive. Something like that, Jessica agreed. Everyone needs to learn to respect other people's boundaries, even Grandma's. 2 months after the haircut incident, Karen finally reached out in a different way. Instead of demands or accusations, she sent a letter. In it, she acknowledged, somewhat grudgingly, that she should have consulted us before cutting Lily's hair. She expressed her desire to be part of Lily's life and indicated a willingness to discuss these so-called boundaries, if it meant seeing her granddaughter again. It wasn't a full admission of wrongdoing, but it was progress. We agreed to meet with Karen at a neutral location, a quiet cafe near our home, to discuss moving forward. When we arrived, Karen was already seated, her posture rigid and defensive. As we sat down, I noticed she'd brought another photo album. Before we start, she said, sliding the album across the table, I want you to see these. Inside were dozens of photos of Karen with Lily, at the park, baking cookies, reading stories. The last page held a school picture of Lily with her new short haircut, beaming at the camera. She's happy, Karen said pointedly. Despite what you think, I didn't traumatize her. Jessica closed the album gently. Karen, we know you love Lily. That's never been in question. But love has to come with respect, and that includes respecting us as her parents. And respecting Lily's own wishes about her body, I added. Karen's lips thinned. I still think you're overreacting about the haircut, but I understand that I should have called you first. And I'm willing to discuss these boundaries you're so insistent upon. It wasn't quite the apology we'd hoped for, but it was something. We spent the next hour outlining our expectations, no undermining our parental decisions, no lavish gifts without our approval, no negative comments about us to Lily, and most importantly, no making decisions about Lily's body or activities without our explicit consent. Karen listened, occasionally arguing a point but ultimately agreeing to our terms. I just want to see my granddaughter, she said finally. I've missed her terribly. We arranged for Karen to visit that weekend, with Jessica and I present. When she arrived, Lily was initially hesitant, hanging back behind Jessica's legs. Hello, my darling, Karen said, kneeling to Lily's level. Grandma has missed you so much. Lily looked up at us questioningly. At our nod, she stepped forward into Karen's embrace, but I noticed she didn't relax into it the way she once had. A small part of the trust between them had been damaged, and I wondered if it could ever fully heal. As the months passed, Karen made efforts to respect our boundaries, though not without the occasional slip. We remained vigilant, never leaving Lily alone with her grandmother, always watching for signs of manipulation or boundary crossing. Lily's hair began to grow out again, the copper curls springing back as if eager to reclaim their former glory. She talked about growing it all the way to my feet, like Rapunzel, a declaration that made Karen purse her lips but, to her credit, remained silent. The incident changed our family dynamic permanently. While Karen was still part of our lives, there was now a distance that hadn't existed before, a wariness on our part, a resentment on hers that surfaced in small, subtle ways. The unconditional trust we once shared had been replaced by a careful, measured relationship built on explicit rules rather than implicit understanding. Sometimes I wonder if we overreacted, if a simple haircut was worth the family rift that followed. Then I remember Lily's confusion, her tears, the way she questioned whether we truly wanted her to be happy. I remember the manipulation, the boundary violations, the refusal to acknowledge wrongdoing. And I know we made the right choice. Parenting is full of unexpected challenges, but perhaps the hardest lessons come when the threat to your child's well-being comes not from strangers or obvious dangers, but from those closest to you, the people who claim to love your child almost as much as you do. In protecting Lily, we lost something with Karen, but we gained something more valuable, the knowledge that we would always put our daughter's autonomy and trust first, no matter the cost. As for Lily, she seems largely unscathed by the ordeal. Children are remarkably resilient. Her hair continues to grow, along with her confidence in expressing her own preferences. Just last week, she informed Karen that she preferred her pizza without mushrooms, a small assertion of independence that might have gone unnoticed before but now carried the weight of history behind it. Karen paused, fork halfway to her mouth, and for a moment, I tensed, ready for conflict. Then she nodded and scraped the mushrooms onto her own plate. "Of course, sweetheart. It's your pizza, after all." Our eyes met across the table, and I saw something like understanding pass between us. It wasn't forgiveness, exactly, but acknowledgement, of boundaries respected, of lessons learned, of the delicate balance required to keep peace in a family wounded by betrayal and manipulation. Whether this fragile peace will last, only time will tell. For now, we take it one day at a time, one boundary at a time, always watchful, always protective of the child caught in the middle of adult expectations and desires. It's not the carefree family relationship I once envisioned, but perhaps it's something more valuable, a relationship built on hard-won respect rather than assumed entitlement. In the end, isn't that what we all deserve? The right to have our boundaries respected, our voices heard, our bodies treated as our own. Even, perhaps especially, when we're only 6 years old with beautiful copper curls that we've been growing since we were a toddler.